Welcome to our channel HD Rare Coin 111, your go-to spot for uncovering the incredible world of rare US coins. If you've ever wondered if your old pennies, nickels, or dimes are worth more than face value, you're about to find out. In today's video, we'll be exploring some truly rare coins and their shocking values. And if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. So let's jump in. Top 1. In the deep vaults of American coinage history, there lies a coin that seems ordinary to the untrained eye, yet holds a value that could shake the heart of any collector. A coin that was born in a time of great economic change, political movement, and transformation of currency itself. This is not just any coin, this is the 1965 Washington quarter dollar, and its story is one that few know in its entirety. The year 1965 marked a significant turning point in the history of United States coins. After years of minting quarters made of 90% silver, the government decided to make a bold shift. Silver was rising in value, and using it for everyday coins was becoming too expensive. It was time for change, literally. This shift led to a transition from silver to a copper-nickel-clad composition. For decades, silver quarters had jangled in the pockets of millions. But starting in 1965, the silver content vanished, and a new era began. Yet hidden among the billions of copper-nickel quarters, some stories still whisper of something much rarer. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington, the first President of the United States. Designed by John Flanagan, the coin's obverse features the iconic profile of Washington. But in 1965, that same design carried a secret legacy that many failed to realize at the time. What makes the 1965 quarter so intriguing isn't just the historical change in its composition. It's the rare exceptions. Some coins from this year were mistakenly or mysteriously struck on leftover silver planchets from 1964. This is where the excitement begins. Imagine finding a coin in your drawer or pocket change and learning it was struck on silver when it wasn't supposed to be. That's the legend of the 1965 Washington quarter, an era so rare and so fascinating that it has captured the imagination of collectors for decades. Most 1965 quarters are worth only their face value, 25 cents. But the ones struck in error, the ones with that unmistakable silver shimmer, they tell a different tale. They shine brighter, ring differently, and feel heavier in the hand. They are ghosts from a vanished minting process. These rare silver 1965 quarters have been found by sheer luck, often mistaken as ordinary until they're weighed, tested, or examined by experts. When found in pristine condition, they defy all expectations. Their rarity is so great that even advanced collectors may spend years searching for a single piece. Beyond the silver anomalies, condition plays an enormous role. Uncirculated coins, especially those in MS65 grade or higher, become even more desirable. Coins with strong luster, clean fields, and sharp strike make collectors' hearts race. These are the treasures among treasures, but there's more. The mint made no proof coins in 1965. That's right, proof sets were temporarily suspended, adding to the mystique of coins from this era. Any 1965 quarter with proof-like qualities draws immediate attention and intense scrutiny. Many numismatists spend their lives searching for high-grade examples of these coins. They scan auction sites, attend coin shows, and sift through rolls just for a glimpse of that elusive perfect quarter. And in rare cases, they strike gold, or should we say, silver. One of the wildest facts is how these coins have turned up unexpectedly. In jars, old purses, or even behind furniture, hidden for decades. Their discovery often comes by accident. But once discovered, they rewrite the story of that collector's life. Testing for silver content is not always easy. The 1965 silver era quarters are not marked differently. Their secrets are in their weight and sound. A normal clad quarter weighs 5.67 grams, while a silver one weighs about 6.25 grams. That slight difference could mean a fortune. Collectors know the telltale sound. A silver quarter has a distinctive ring when dropped on a table, a crisp tone that is music to the ears of the experienced. It's the sound of potential fortune, wrapped in the disguise of ordinary change. These coins often come under the scrutiny of third-party grading companies like PCGS and NGC. Their authentication turns myths into monetary value. Once slabbed and graded, the coin's worth can rise exponentially. The thrill of holding such a rare error in your palm is unmatched. The gleam of silver, the knowledge of the year, the awareness of its unexpected composition, it's as if history has slipped through the cracks of time and into your possession. There are even rumors of a few double-die obverse examples existing from 1965. While these remain debated, even the hint of such an error sends collectors into a frenzy. The smallest flaw or misprint could lead to massive price jumps. These rare 1965 Washington quarters have become legends in coin lore. Stories of auctions where bidders go head-to-head, each trying to outbid the other for a chance to own a coin that defies the rules of its own year. And yet, for every lucky finder, there are thousands still searching. Metal detectors scan old parks, treasure hunters raid estate sales, and YouTubers film their hunts, all for a shot at finding the silver prize of 1965. Some coins were passed down unknowingly, tucked inside inherited boxes or old bank rolls. The unsuspecting heirs, unaware of the fortune within, sometimes hand over thousands in value without a second thought. But every now and then, a numismatic miracle occurs. A person spots the difference. They weigh it. They test it. And the truth is revealed. It's not just a 1965 quarter. It's the quarter. The one coin that breaks the rules. Such coins remind us that mistakes in the mint are not always bad. Sometimes, they create history. They craft legends. They transform lives. This is why collectors continue the hunt. Why every 1965 quarter is examined. Because in a sea of ordinary, there may still lie one of the great outliers of modern American currency. And now you may be wondering, how much could such a rare 1965 Washington quarter be worth in today's booming collector market? If found in silver, and in mint state condition, authenticated and graded by a top agency, the value is astonishing. This single coin, small enough to sit on your fingertip, could be worth a grand total of $180,000. Top 2. There are some coins that make headlines, others that quietly circulate unnoticed for decades, and then there are those that explode in mystery, surprise, and staggering value. Today, we dive into the fascinating world of one such coin, the United States of America Washington quarter dollar from the year 1966. What makes it stand out is not just its age, but what lies hidden beneath the surface. The 1966 quarter is a piece of American history, struck during a time when the very makeup of coins was being transformed. With silver prices climbing higher and faster than anyone anticipated, the U.S. Mint had already started phasing out silver from circulating coinage, including quarters, starting in 1965. But in that transition, some coins slipped through the cracks, coins that should never have existed. This quarter was born in an era of confusion and adjustment. The country was recovering from the financial pressure of rising silver costs. The mint needed a solution that could keep coins in circulation while cutting production costs. And so began the copper-nickel-clad composition era. But just because the rules changed, didn't mean every coin followed them. Though the mint officially declared that no quarters after 1964 would be made with silver, the 1966 Washington quarter hides a story that some collectors are only now beginning to fully appreciate. Because every so often, a coin surfaces that shouldn't exist, a coin with the shine, sound, and weight of silver, bearing the date 1966. Most people wouldn't look twice at a 1966 quarter. After all, billions were made, and nearly all were copper-nickel clad. But as any coin collector will tell you, it's in the anomalies, the errors, and the accidents where true fortune lies. It's those rare moments where history missteps that treasures are born. The Washington quarter had been around since 1932, first released to honor the bicentennial of George Washington's birth. The obverse has always featured his unmistakable profile, while the reverse originally showcased a bold heraldic eagle. But by 1966, this familiar design was no longer etched into silver, or so it was believed. That's what makes the 1966 silver era quarters so intriguing. These are the coins that shouldn't exist, yet somehow were minted, possibly on leftover silver planchets from 1964, or due to a mistake during the transition period. And when one appears, it sends shockwaves through the collecting world. One of the first signs a collector notices is the weight. A standard clad quarter from 1966 weighs about 5.67 grams. But a silver planchet would bring the coin closer to 6.25 grams. That small difference might not sound like much, but in the hands of a numismatist, it can mean the difference between pocket change and a small fortune. Then there's the sound. A silver coin sings a different tune. Drop it gently on a wooden surface and it produces a crisp, bell-like ring that no clad coin can replicate. It's a melody that collectors listen for, a sound that means discovery, rarity, and maybe even riches. While 1965 is often the more famous year for these silver planchet errors, 1966 examples are even harder to come by. That rarity adds to their mystique and, most importantly, their value. For every 1,000 people who own a 1966 quarter, only a whisper of a chance exists that it could be one of these elusive silver errors. Collectors know that coins from the 1960s are already significant, but when they find one that breaks the rules of composition, they know they're holding something that belongs in a museum or elite private collection. These are the types of coins that ignite bidding wars at auction houses. Condition matters, of course. A circulated 1966 quarter, even if it's silver, holds value. But an uncirculated specimen, shining with original mint luster, free from scratches or wear, takes that value into another stratosphere. Mint state grades are where the magic happens. Another layer of complexity is added by the fact that in 1966, the U.S. Mint didn't use mint marks. That's right, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco all struck quarters, but the coins weren't marked. This makes it nearly impossible to trace where a particular quarter came from, adding mystery to the hunt. With so many quarters in circulation from that year, finding a rare silver one is like discovering a needle in a haystack. But it has been done. In fact, a few have already been authenticated by top grading companies like PCGS and NGC. And when they confirm that silver shine is real, the coin's price skyrockets. These coins become celebrities of the numismatic world. They are written about, studied, and admired by those who appreciate the deep and beautiful world of coin collecting. They are the kind of coins that inspire people to open their old jars of change and look just one more time. Sometimes they're passed down unknowingly, part of a late relative's collection, mixed in among common coins, until someone notices that glimmer. Other times, they're found by sharp-eyed individuals who know exactly what to look for, and are smart enough to test them before spending them. Stories abound of silver-sounding 1966 quarters found in coin rolls, old lunchboxes, or hidden compartments in antique furniture. These accidental discoveries have led to some of the most jaw-dropping numismatic finds of recent years. But not all valuable 1966 quarters are silver. Some have other types of errors, like off-center strikes, double dies, or even partial collar strikes. These flaws, while unintended, make the coins far more valuable to collectors who thrive on rarity and uniqueness. The thrill of finding one of these coins isn't just about the money. It's about the connection to history, to a moment when the mint made a mistake, and that mistake survived. It's about holding something rare, something that wasn't meant to be, and knowing that few others have it. And for those lucky enough to find a 1966 quarter with these features in pristine condition, it becomes more than a coin. It becomes a story to tell, a legacy to pass down, and yes, an investment unlike any other. Collectors often describe the moment they realize they're holding a silver 1966 quarter as surreal. It's a mix of disbelief and excitement, followed by a rush to have the coin authenticated before anyone else realizes its value. Once authenticated and slabbed, the coin takes on a new life. It becomes part of the historical record, a documented error that defied its own minting year. And with that official recognition comes a hefty market price. Auction houses light up when one of these quarters comes up for sale. Collectors battle it out with passion, each determined to add the rare piece to their collection, no matter the cost. And that cost can be jaw-dropping. It's no exaggeration to say that a silver 1966 Washington quarter in exceptional condition, certified by a top grading company and backed by undeniable authenticity, could bring in a value that astonishes most people. So, if you have a jar of coins at home, or an old collection sitting in a dusty drawer, take a second look. You might just have a piece of American history hiding in plain sight. Weigh it. Listen to it. Examine it closely, because one special 1966 Washington quarter, rare beyond belief, struck in error, preserved in mint state, and authenticated by the best in the business, has sold for the extraordinary price of $175,000. Top 3. There are coins in the world of numismatics that scream for attention, coins that glitter with gold or sparkle with diamonds, but then there are coins that whisper, quiet, mysterious, and far more dangerous to ignore. One such coin is the 1967 Washington quarter dollar, an unsuspecting piece of pocket change that could very well turn into a six-figure treasure. The year 1967 was a chaotic and transitional time for coin collectors and the U.S. Mint alike. With silver prices soaring, the American government had already made the bold move to eliminate silver from circulating dimes and quarters. A wave of copper-nickel-clad coins flooded the economy, changing not only the way coins looked, but how they were perceived and valued. By 1967, people had finally adjusted to these new non-silver coins. The days of shimmering silver quarters were supposed to be over. But as every coin collector knows, history doesn't always follow the rules, and sometimes, a mistake becomes a miracle. The Washington quarter itself was no stranger to fame. First minted in 1932 to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington, it was a symbol of patriotism and tradition. Designed by John Flanagan, the bold image of Washington on the obverse had become as American as apple pie. But in 1967, something peculiar happened, something that went unnoticed by most, yet caught the eyes of the most dedicated collectors. You see, among the billions of ordinary clad quarters produced that year, a few special ones were struck under mysterious circumstances. These were the quarters that didn't follow the rules. Some were mistakenly minted on leftover silver planchets, likely meant for coins from 1964 or earlier. Others featured strange errors in strike, weight, or design. These aren't just coins, they're hidden stories from the heart of the mint. Normally, a 1967 quarter wouldn't raise eyebrows. With over 1.5 billion struck that year, they're common, circulating in jars, drawers, and vending machines across the country. But what happens when one of them doesn't sound right? Doesn't weigh right? What if it glows with the unmistakable gleam of silver? That's where the thrill begins. Some collectors have stumbled upon 1967 quarters that break all expectations. They weigh more than they should, with a standard clad coin weighing around 5.67 grams. A silver one? It tips the scale closer to 6.25 grams, an invisible clue with massive consequences. And then there's the sound. Oh, the sound of silver, so distinct, so crisp, so unmistakable. Drop a clad quarter and you hear a dull, lifeless thud. But drop a silver planchet coin and you'll hear it sing, a bright, musical tone that collectors live for. Even more exciting is the fact that 1967 saw no mint marks. The U.S. Mint had temporarily suspended mint marks during the mid-60s to discourage coin hoarding. So all 1967 quarters, whether from Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, bear the same anonymous look. That adds to the mystery. With no proof sets officially released to the public that year, collectors had even fewer chances to obtain high-grade examples. It wasn't until much later that the rarity of certain 1967 quarters truly started to become apparent, especially the ones with odd weights, error strikes, or unexpected shimmer. From double dies to off-center strikes, broad strikes to repunched dates, the 1967 quarter is full of oddities for the trained eye. Every error increases demand. Every flaw becomes an asset. And every known example adds to the legend of this coin. There have been cases where unsuspecting people have found these rare quarters in old rolls of change, unaware of the hidden fortune they held. Some have discovered them in inherited coin collections, tucked away between common coins, never realizing what they possessed. Collectors who specialize in silver-era quarters often say the 1967 issue is one of the toughest to find. It's like a ghost, rumored, whispered about, and occasionally, shockingly real. That rarity drives up demand in the numismatic world like fuel to fire. Authentication plays a major role. If you think you've found one of these rare specimens, getting it professionally graded by PCGS or NGC is a must. These agencies verify the composition, strike quality, and authenticity of such coins. And once certified, their value skyrockets. The moment the coin is slabbed and labeled as an error or silver composition strike from 1967, it leaves the world of ordinary coinage and enters elite territory. It's no longer just a quarter, it becomes a trophy, a dream, a centerpiece for any collection. Even among circulated 1967 quarters, finding one in mint state condition is a challenge. Those with strong luster, sharp detail, and minimal contact marks become prime targets for grading and auctioning. In one astonishing case, a 1967 quarter struck on a silver planchet was discovered in pristine condition and authenticated. The coin's shine, combined with its weight and flawless strike, sent shockwaves through the auction world. Bidders from around the country jumped in, each trying to stake their claim on what might be the rarest coin of their generation. The price climbed higher and higher, driven by the coin's story, rarity, and beauty. Collectors say it's not just about the value, it's the magic of knowing you've discovered a mistake the world forgot to erase. A minting misstep that managed to survive half a century. A reminder that even machines make errors, and sometimes those errors become gold. Stories like these are why collectors never stop searching. Every quarter from 1967 becomes a question mark. Every roll, a mystery waiting to be solved. And every metallic ring in your hand becomes a possible echo of hidden treasure. It's a thrill that never gets old. The idea that what looks like pocket change might actually be a historical error worth thousands is exactly why the world of coin collecting is so addictive, so exhilarating, and so full of surprises. Even modern collectors are jumping into the hunt, digging through change, garage sales, and estate auctions, hoping to spot that faint difference in color, weight, or tone that separates ordinary from extraordinary. So, if you have a 1967 Washington quarter tucked away somewhere, don't dismiss it too quickly. Examine it. Weigh it. Listen to it. Because sometimes the quietest coins have the loudest stories, and when those stories involve silver planchets, mint errors, and high grades, the price tag attached can turn heads. These coins are not just historical, they're highly sought-after pieces of American treasure, which brings us to the most incredible part of this tale. A confirmed 1967 Washington quarter, struck on a silver planchet in stunning mint state condition, authenticated and preserved in all its glory, once sold for the breathtaking amount of $170,000. Top 4. In the vast world of American coinage, there are coins that go unnoticed for decades, quietly passed from hand to hand in daily transactions, hiding secrets most people never see. But sometimes, a seemingly ordinary coin turns out to be a numismatic jackpot. Today, we take a deep dive into one such quiet treasure, the 1971 Washington quarter. At first glance, the 1971 quarter doesn't look any different from the coins you've seen 1,000 times. It features the stoic profile of George Washington on the obverse and a bold American eagle spreading its wings on the reverse. It clinks, spins, and spends just like any other quarter. But hidden among the billions are a few that are anything but ordinary. By 1971, the United States had fully embraced the copper-nickel-clad coinage era. Silver coins had largely vanished from circulation after 1964, and the change was meant to be permanent. No more silver quarters, no more precious metal in your pocket change. Or at least that was the plan. But as history has proven time and again, plans don't always go perfectly. Especially at the U.S. Mint, where small errors during high-speed mass production can result in incredible, unexpected outcomes. And in the case of the 1971 Washington quarter, those mistakes would turn a 25-cent coin into a six-figure legend. Millions of these quarters were struck in Philadelphia, and for the first time since 1967, the mint marks returned to coins in circulation. Quarters from Denver bore the D mint mark, while Philadelphia's quarters were left blank. Yet what truly separates the valuable from the ordinary has nothing to do with the mint mark at all. Some 1971 quarters were struck on planchets that simply didn't belong. While most were made using the standard-clad copper-nickel metal, a few astonishing specimens have been discovered struck on leftover silver planchets that were supposed to be phased out years earlier. This kind of mint error is extraordinarily rare. Imagine the odds: a silver planchet intended for a different coin, somehow finding its way into the presses in 1971, resulting in a silver quarter from a year when no such coins were supposed to exist. It's the kind of anomaly that electrifies the coin collecting world. These silver error quarters from 1971 have become legends. They weigh more than their copper-nickel counterparts. A normal clad quarter weighs about 5.67 grams, while a silver planchet weighs around 6.25 grams. That tiny difference becomes the key that unlocks their value. And then there's the sound, the unmistakable ring of silver. Drop a clad quarter and you'll hear a dull thud. But drop one of these rare silver 1971 quarters, and it sings with a high-pitched, bell-like tone that sends chills down the spine of every seasoned collector. Collectors and treasure hunters alike are drawn to this year because it's so unexpected. 1971 was supposed to be uneventful. No new designs. No silver content. No major surprises. And yet, the biggest surprise of all was hidden in plain sight. Even more fascinating is that some of these silver era quarters have been found in circulation, spent unknowingly by someone who had no idea they were giving away a coin worth thousands. They've turned up in change jars, coin rolls, even inherited collections long forgotten in dusty drawers. When one of these silver-struck 1971 quarters surfaces, it sends ripples through the numismatic community. Collectors race to verify the weight and sound, then rush to send the coin off to a professional grading service for authentication and certification. Once a coin like this is authenticated, especially if it's in excellent, uncirculated condition, it becomes a star. Grading companies like NGC and PCGS assign it a formal designation, confirming that it was struck on a silver planchet. With that, the coin's value instantly transforms. The story doesn't stop there. Some 1971 quarters also exhibit rare strike errors like off-center strikes, double dies, or even reeded edges struck improperly. These errors, though unrelated to silver, increase a coin's uniqueness and collector appeal tenfold, and the condition is everything. A 1971 silver error quarter with heavy wear may still be worth thousands. But one in pristine mint state condition, with full details and luster, becomes a unicorn in the collecting world. A piece that commands the attention of investors and museums alike. Coin shows across the country have featured these unexpected rarities. Dealers display them behind glass cases, telling stories of their discovery, origin, and the fierce bidding wars they ignited. It's not just a coin, it's a moment frozen in time. Auction houses have seen record-breaking sales for these rare 1971 quarters. Some collectors who thought they'd found just another old coin ended up holding a piece of numismatic history worth more than their car, or even their home. The magic of coin collecting is built on stories like these. Coins that shouldn't exist. Coins that slipped past the rigid standards of the mint, and somehow made it into the hands of everyday Americans. It's those rare accidents that make collecting both a hobby and a hunt. You never know what could be sitting in your change jar, or hiding in an old bank roll. That's why collectors check every quarter, especially from the 1970s. The discovery of just one of these silver-era 1971 quarters could change someone's life overnight. And this isn't just about the silver planchets. It's about history, about how something small and overlooked can carry immense value. A reminder that in the world of coin collecting, the smallest details can hold the biggest rewards. If you have a 1971 quarter, pick it up. Feel its weight. Look closely at the edges. Listen to the sound it makes when dropped on a table. Because if it has the look, the weight, and the ring of silver, you might just be holding something extraordinary. Then comes the real test: authentication. If your coin passes inspection, is confirmed as being struck on a silver planchet, and remains in brilliant, uncirculated condition, congratulations. You're not just a collector. You're the discoverer of a forgotten treasure. These Silver Era 1971 quarters are incredibly scarce, but when one appears on the open market, collectors go wild. Bidding escalates quickly, because no one wants to miss the opportunity to own one of the rarest modern quarters ever produced. And while many collectors dream of finding one of these coins, only a handful ever will. Their scarcity is part of their mystique. And that mystique is what drives their incredible value in the world of high-end coin collecting. And now, the question everyone's been waiting for: how much can one of these elusive silver 1971 Washington quarters be worth today, if found in mint state condition, authenticated by top grading services, and confirmed to be struck on a silver planchet? This remarkable coin has been valued at an astonishing $145,000. Top 5. Some coins don't need to be ancient to be valuable. Some aren't made of gold or platinum, nor do they sparkle with diamonds. But they carry something even more powerful, a mystery, an error, a secret that only a few people in the world recognize. Such is the case with the unassuming 1977 Washington quarter. At first glance, this coin seems completely ordinary. It has the same design we've seen for decades: George Washington's side profile on the obverse and a proud American eagle on the reverse. But beneath that familiar face lies a story few have heard and even fewer have uncovered. The Washington quarter had already earned its place as a staple in American life. By 1977, it had been circulating for 45 years. It had seen wars, presidents, economic changes, and cultural revolutions. But even after all that time, it was still capable of surprises. In 1977, all quarters were supposed to be struck on copper nickel-clad planchets. Silver had been removed more than a decade earlier. But the world of minting isn't always perfect. Sometimes, the machinery misfires, the wrong materials are used, or human error results in something incredible. Among the billions of quarters struck that year, a tiny handful stand out. These aren't just error coins, they are miracle coins. A few 1977 quarters have surfaced that were accidentally struck on silver planchets, left behind from years earlier, and slipped into circulation unnoticed. This is more than a misprint. It's a full-blown rarity that transforms an everyday coin into a numismatic sensation. Collectors who stumble across these silver 1977 quarters can't believe their luck. It's like finding a relic that time forgot. The only way to identify one of these rare coins is through weight and appearance. A standard clad quarter weighs 5.67 grams, while a silver quarter weighs 6.25 grams. That subtle difference is everything. And once that coin is in your hand, the excitement begins. You drop it on a table, and it sings. That distinct, high-pitched ring that only silver can produce echoes in the room. A sound that speaks louder than words, telling you this coin is different. Special. Rare. Next comes professional evaluation. Coin experts use advanced equipment to verify the metal content and strike origin. If the coin is proven to be a silver planchet error, it is immediately recognized as a high-value rarity. Grading agencies like PCGS and NGC play a vital role here. Their certification confirms the coin's authenticity and condition, adding credibility and market value. Once slabbed, the 1977 silver quarter becomes an official part of coin collecting history. Only a small number of these have ever been found. Some collectors spend years searching through rolls of quarters, dreaming of the day they'll find one. The odds are slim, but the reward is massive. There are also known errors in the 1977 quarter series: off-center strikes, double dies, and repunched mint marks. While these carry value, nothing compares to the awe-inspiring silver era coins. Stories of discovery always capture the imagination. A collector at a flea market, a grandparent's coin jar, a dusty drawer in an old house. These are the unlikely settings where life-changing coins are sometimes found. One of the most thrilling parts of this story is how the rarest coins are often hiding in plain sight. Imagine spending a coin that could pay for your child's college education simply because it looked like all the others. That's why collectors stress attention to detail. Look at every coin. Weigh it. Listen to it. Examine the edges. Because the smallest mistake by the mint could be your biggest reward. These silver 1977 quarters represent the fascinating intersection of error and opportunity. They are the unexpected outcomes of an otherwise routine production year. Some examples of these coins have surfaced in nearly uncirculated condition. When these coins are found nearly untouched, their market value skyrockets. They're not just rare, they're pristine pieces of American history. In recent years, demand for rare quarters has surged. Collectors, investors, and historians all compete for ownership of coins like these, driving prices higher with each confirmed discovery. When auction houses list one of these silver-era 1977 quarters, bids start high and rise fast. Their value is not just in the metal or rarity, but in the story, the unbelievable chance that such a mistake was ever made. Even collectors with vast collections agree, the silver 1977 quarter is one of the most exciting discoveries of the modern coin era. Its appeal crosses generations and collecting styles. It represents the idea that not all treasure is buried. Sometimes, it jingles in your pocket, waiting to be found by someone who knows what to look for. So next time you hold a quarter, don't assume it's just another coin. Feel its weight. Listen to its ring. Inspect it closely. Because one 1977 quarter has proven to be more than just change. It was a key to history, a gateway to discovery, and a window into the beauty of imperfection. And that one extraordinary 1977 Washington quarter, struck on a silver planchet, authenticated and preserved in stunning condition, has fetched an astonishing price of $115,000. Top 6. Sometimes, the most incredible treasures aren't locked away in vaults or displayed in museums. They're tucked away in the most ordinary places, coin jars, drawers, even hidden beneath car seats. And among those overlooked pieces of metal, one coin has slowly emerged from the shadows to grab the attention of collectors, historians, and treasure seekers alike. That coin is the 1982 Washington quarter dollar. You might be wondering what makes a simple quarter from the early 80s so valuable, especially when millions were struck. The answer lies not just in numbers, but in condition, errors, and timing. The 1982 quarter carries with it a fascinating legacy, one that mixes economy, minting changes, and collector drama all into one little silver-hued circle. Back in 1982, the United States Mint made a major change that would go on to affect the way collectors view this coin. That year, due to budget cuts, the Mint chose not to release official uncirculated mint sets for the public. This decision may have seemed small at the time, but its impact was enormous. What this meant was that no special collector sets were available. Every coin produced went directly into everyday circulation. No packaging, no protection, no chance for collectors to grab pristine examples fresh from the mint. They were used immediately by the public, meaning most 1982 quarters suffered the harsh wear and tear of daily life. Because of this, finding a 1982 quarter in pristine condition is extremely rare. Mint state examples, those that were never circulated and still shine like the day they were struck, are among the hardest to find for any modern U.S. coin. They simply weren't preserved. This alone has elevated the 1982 quarter status in the eyes of collectors. But rarity in pristine condition is only part of the story. The year 1982 was also a time of transition in design and engraving. The Mint was adjusting the design and spacing of lettering and tweaking certain details, which led to visible differences between coins minted in different locations. That brings us to one of the most exciting aspects of the 1982 Washington quarter, the mint mark mystery. These quarters were minted at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. However, during this time, some Philadelphia quarters were struck without a mint mark. That makes the no mint mark 1982 quarter a subject of intense interest for collectors. It's not an error, but a deliberate trait, and one that has grown more valuable with time. Meanwhile, coins from Denver carry the D mint mark, and many of them exhibit strong strikes, but errors have also been reported. There are versions of the 1982 D quarter that show doubling on the date, or the word Liberty, creating a dramatic look that instantly makes the coin more desirable. One of the most remarkable things about the 1982 quarter is that some of them have surfaced with major errors, such as off-center strikes, partial collars, and even missing clad layers. These errors are incredibly rare and extremely collectible. Each one tells a story about how something went wrong inside the mint, stories that are printed in metal for the world to see. Coin hunters across the country have made it a goal to find these rare 1982 quarters. Whether they're searching through old rolls from the bank or hunting at estate sales, these seekers know the thrill of finding a coin that's worth far more than its face value. And the 1982 quarter offers that thrill in abundance. Some of these quarters have been found with what experts call proof-like surfaces, despite being made for circulation only. These coins reflect light like a mirror, showing extraordinary detail. It's believed that these may have been among the first strikes from fresh dies, and their beauty makes them almost irresistible to advanced collectors. Others have discovered die cracks, rim cuts, and machine doubling that add character and value to their 1982 finds. These small imperfections, when authenticated by professional grading services, can transform a pocket change coin into a museum-worthy piece. One of the most stunning varieties from this year includes the 1982D small date quarter, which features a more compact number design compared to other coins from the same year. The size and style differences make it a challenge to identify, and that's exactly what collectors love, a challenge worth solving. Another favorite is the so-called extra high leaf variety, where the leaf design on the eagle's wing appears exaggerated or misaligned. It may be subtle to an untrained eye, but to a coin expert, it's like spotting a diamond among stones. The thrill of owning a rare 1982 quarter is not just about the money. It's about holding a piece of American history, a coin that witnessed a transitional period in U.S. minting. It's about uncovering a piece that was never supposed to survive in such great condition. That's what makes this coin so fascinating. The average person would never give it a second glance, but the trained eye knows exactly what to look for: the shine, the crispness, the mint mark, or perhaps the absence of one. It's like hunting for treasure in plain sight. Collectors who specialize in Washington quarters often say that 1982 is among their most difficult and rewarding years. Not because the coin is made of precious metal or commemorates a historic event, but because of how scarce quality examples are. With each passing year, it becomes harder to find untouched 1982 quarters. Most have long been spent, worn down, or lost. The ones that remain in mint state conditions are being snatched up quickly, disappearing into private collections and rarely reappearing on the market. Auction results have consistently shown that 1982 quarters in MS66 and above can fetch impressive prices, especially when certified by trusted services like PCGS or NGC. And if the coin has an error or unique feature on top of that grade, the bidding wars begin. For many, this journey begins with a single coin, often found by chance, inherited, or picked up from a dealer's tray. That single coin leads to research, obsession, and a quest to understand every detail of what makes the 1982 Washington quarter so special. The community of collectors is constantly sharing discoveries, swapping photos of new finds, and encouraging others to keep searching. It's a modern treasure hunt, fueled by passion, history, and the dream of finding that one perfect quarter. And as you watch this video, maybe you're looking at a 1982 quarter yourself. Maybe you've come across one and you're wondering, could it be the one? Could it be worth more than I ever imagined? There's only one way to find out. Take a close look. Get it checked. It might just surprise you. There are still discoveries to be made, and the 1982 Washington quarter proves it. This simple coin, once passed around for bubblegum and parking meters, now holds the potential for greatness in the hands of the right collector. So before you spend your next quarter, look at the date. If it says 1982, pause for a moment. You might be holding a little piece of minting magic, one that's slipped through the cracks of time and is waiting for you to recognize its worth. And now, as we reach the end of this fascinating journey, let's reveal the number that will stop you in your tracks. One rare, mint state 1982 Washington quarter, featuring a striking mint error and near-perfect preservation, was recently sold for a jaw-dropping total of $90,000. Top 7. There are some coins that carry secrets. They move silently through pockets, change drawers, and forgotten coin jars, never revealing their true worth until they fall into the right hands. One such coin is the 1983 Washington quarter dollar. It's one of those everyday coins that has traveled from hand to hand for years, and yet some specific examples of it are worth far more than any ordinary collector could ever imagine. And today, you're about to find out why this humble 25-cent coin from 1983 might just blow your mind. When people think of valuable coins, they usually imagine something ancient or made of gold or silver. But that's not the case here. The 1983 Washington quarter was struck not in silver but in copper nickel clad, the same metal used for everyday coins. It doesn't look especially shiny. It doesn't glitter or sparkle. But what it lacks in glamour, it makes up for in incredible rarity and a backstory that is absolutely electrifying. The year 1983 wasn't just another year at the U.S. Mint. It was the middle of a transition, one of economic uncertainty, political shifts, and most importantly for coin collectors, a time when the mint was not producing mint sets for the general public. That meant coins from this year would only enter circulation through normal channels. No special packaging. No collector-grade production. Just business strikes, headed straight into everyday use. That decision by the mint, seemingly insignificant at the time, would become crucial for collectors decades later. Because without official mint sets, very few 1983 quarters were preserved in pristine condition. Nearly all of them went directly into circulation, used for toll booths, laundry machines, soda fountains, and more. And as a result, finding one in near perfect, untouched condition has become almost impossible. Even more interestingly, some 1983 quarters were minted with strikingly sharp detail, almost as though the dies used had extra precision or were handled with unusual care. Combine that with the lack of mint sets, and suddenly the rare survivors from 1983 become extremely attractive for collectors willing to pay a high premium for top-condition coins. But that's not the only reason this coin has become so desirable. Some 1983 quarters show dramatic die cracks, doubling in the letters or numbers, or even signs of die deterioration. These are classic error traits, and they make the coins even more valuable, especially when certified and graded by professional services. One of the most famous types of 1983 Washington quarters includes those with what is called a reverse cud, a raised, blob-like area on the back of the coin caused by a chunk of the die breaking away during minting. These kinds of flaws are uncommon and highly sought after. They transform a regular quarter into a true rarity. There have even been reports of off-center strikes, missing clad layers, and partial collar errors on 1983 quarters. All of these rare variations can make an otherwise unremarkable coin shoot up in value instantly. It all depends on what was happening at the mint that day and what planchets were loaded into the presses. Now, imagine finding one of these rare versions of the 1983 quarter not just with a visible error, but in a grade above MS-65. That's a collector's jackpot. Such coins are incredibly difficult to come by due to the rough life most 1983 quarters endured in circulation. Most have nicks, scratches, and signs of heavy wear. But the rare few that were pulled aside early, or somehow never used, can be worth a small fortune. Collectors and coin hunters often recount the thrill of finding even a decent 1983 quarter in good shape. It's a coin that makes you stop and look closer, to examine every detail, every letter, every ridge. Because who knows? It could be that one in a million piece that changes everything. Adding fuel to the excitement is the fact that some 1983 quarters were struck using misaligned dies, causing a noticeable shift in the coin's design. These misstruck coins are not only eye-catching but command major attention in auctions and private sales. Another feature that sparks collector interest is the wide AM, reverse spacing, where the letters in America on the back of the coin are spaced slightly wider than usual. Though subtle to the naked eye, this variation sets the coin apart, and that uniqueness drives up its desirability. But perhaps one of the most thrilling parts of this story is the fact that some 1983 quarters were struck with nearly proof-like surfaces despite being minted for circulation. These rare examples show deep mirrors and frosted designs, almost as if they were accidental proofs. Experts still debate how this happened, but there's no doubt they're among the most valuable. Over the years, As more collectors turn their attention to modern rarities, the 1983 quarter has risen in popularity. It's no longer just a filler for date sets, it's now considered one of the top finds of the 1980s for anyone who loves coin roll hunting or cherry-picking dealer bins. Auction houses have confirmed the rising demand for these quarters. Coins in mint state 67 and above are fetching 4 and 5 figures regularly. And if the coin includes a rare error or variation, the price skyrockets even further. One might wonder, how could a coin produced in the tens of millions become so valuable? The answer lies not in how many were made, but in how few survived in exceptional condition. Combine that with fascinating mint errors and the lack of mint sets, and suddenly this coin becomes a legend. There are stories of coin collectors who spent years looking for the perfect 1983 quarter, only to find it inside a forgotten roll purchased at a local bank. Stories like these are what make coin collecting so addictive and exciting. It's a mix of history, luck, patience, and a good eye. That's what it takes to find the gems in a sea of ordinary. And the 1983 Washington quarter is one of those coins that rewards the persistent and observant. For new collectors, this is a great coin to chase. It teaches about condition rarity, minting history, and the importance of details. And for seasoned collectors, it represents a true challenge, because finding a flawless or rare 1983 quarter is a real accomplishment. If you ever come across a 1983 quarter that looks unusually sharp, clean, or has an odd texture or design anomaly, don't spend it. Instead, get it evaluated. You could be holding a small fortune in your hand without even knowing it. Coin collecting is more than a hobby, it's a journey through time and craftsmanship. Each coin tells a story. And in the case of the 1983 Washington quarter, that story includes mystery, value, and surprise. This coin reminds us all to keep looking, keep learning, and never assume a coin is worthless just because it looks familiar. Sometimes, the biggest surprises come in the smallest packages. And now, for the moment you've been waiting for, the price. One extraordinary and rare 1983 Washington quarter, found in pristine condition with striking details and an error, was recently valued and sold for an astonishing amount of $85,000. There are some coins that carry secrets. They move silently through pockets, change drawers, and forgotten coin jars, never revealing their true worth until they fall into the right hands. One such coin is the 1983 Washington quarter dollar. It's one of those everyday coins that has traveled from hand to hand for years, and yet some specific examples of it are worth far more than any ordinary collector could ever imagine. And today, you're about to find out why this humble 25-cent coin from 1983 might just blow your mind. When people think of valuable coins, they usually imagine something ancient or made of gold or silver. But that's not the case here. The 1983 Washington quarter was struck not in silver but in copper-nickel clad, the same metal used for everyday coins. It doesn't look especially shiny. It doesn't glitter or sparkle. But what it lacks in glamour, it makes up for in incredible rarity and a backstory that is absolutely electrifying. The year 1983 wasn't just another year at the U.S. Mint. It was the middle of a transition, one of economic uncertainty, political shifts, and most importantly for coin collectors, a time when the mint was not producing mint sets for the general public. That meant coins from this year would only enter circulation through normal channels. No special packaging. No collector-grade production. Just business strikes, headed straight into everyday use. That decision by the mint, seemingly insignificant at the time, would become crucial for collectors decades later. Because without official mint sets, very few 1983 quarters were preserved in pristine condition. Nearly all of them went directly into circulation, used for toll booths, laundry machines, soda fountains, and more. And as a result, finding one in near-perfect, untouched condition has become almost impossible. Even more interestingly, some 1983 quarters were minted with strikingly sharp detail, almost as though the dies used had extra precision or were handled with unusual care. Combine that with the lack of mint sets, and suddenly the rare survivors from 1983 become extremely attractive for collectors willing to pay a high premium for top-condition coins. But that's not the only reason this coin has become so desirable. Some 1983 quarters show dramatic die cracks, doubling in the letters or numbers, or even signs of die deterioration. These are classic error traits, and they make the coins even more valuable, especially when certified and graded by professional services. One of the most famous types of 1983 Washington quarters includes those with what is called a reverse cud, a raised, blob-like area on the back of the coin caused by a chunk of the die breaking away during minting. These kinds of flaws are uncommon and highly sought after. They transform a regular quarter into a true rarity. There have even been reports of off-center strikes, missing clad layers, and partial collar errors on 1983 quarters. All of these rare variations can make an otherwise unremarkable coin shoot up in value instantly. It all depends on what was happening at the mint that day and what planchets were loaded into the presses. Now, imagine finding one of these rare versions of the 1983 quarter not just with a visible error, but in a grade above MS-65. That's a collector's jackpot. Such coins are incredibly difficult to come by due to the rough life most 1983 quarters endured in circulation. Most have nicks, scratches, and signs of heavy wear. But the rare few that were pulled aside early, or somehow never used, can be worth a small fortune. Collectors and coin hunters often recount the thrill of finding even a decent 1983 quarter in good shape. It's a coin that makes you stop and look closer, to examine every detail, every letter, every ridge. Because who knows? It could be that one-in-a-million piece that changes everything. Adding fuel to the excitement is the fact that some 1983 quarters were struck using misaligned dies, causing a noticeable shift in the coin's design. These misstruck coins are not only eye-catching but command major attention in auctions and private sales. Another feature that sparks collector interest is the wide AM, reverse spacing, where the letters in America on the back of the coin are spaced slightly wider than usual. Though subtle to the naked eye, this variation sets the coin apart, and that uniqueness drives up its desirability. But perhaps one of the most thrilling parts of this story is the fact that some 1983 quarters were struck with nearly proof-like surfaces despite being minted for circulation. These rare examples show deep mirrors and frosted designs, almost as if they were accidental proofs. Experts still debate how this happened, but there's no doubt they're among the most valuable. Over the years, as more collectors turn their attention to modern rarities, the 1983 quarter has risen in popularity. It's no longer just a filler for date sets. It's now considered one of the top finds of the 1980s for anyone who loves coin roll hunting or cherry-picking dealer bins. Auction houses have confirmed the rising demand for these quarters. Coins in mint state 67 and above are fetching 4 and 5 figures regularly. And if the coin includes a rare error or variation, the price skyrockets even further. One might wonder, how could a coin produced in the tens of millions become so valuable? The answer lies not in how many were made, but in how few survived in exceptional condition. Combine that with fascinating mint errors and the lack of mint sets, and suddenly this coin becomes a legend. There are stories of coin collectors who spent years looking for the perfect 1983 quarter, only to find it inside a forgotten roll purchased at a local bank. Stories like these are what make coin collecting so addictive and exciting. It's a mix of history, luck, patience, and a good eye. That's what it takes to find the gems in a sea of ordinary. And the 1983 Washington quarter is one of those coins that rewards the persistent and observant. For new collectors, this is a great coin to chase. It teaches about condition rarity, minting history, and the importance of details. And for seasoned collectors, it represents a true challenge, because finding a flawless or rare 1983 quarter is a real accomplishment. If you ever come across a 1983 quarter that looks unusually sharp, clean, or has an odd texture or design anomaly, don't spend it. Instead, get it evaluated. You could be holding a small fortune in your hand without even knowing it. Coin collecting is more than a hobby, it's a journey through time and craftsmanship. Each coin tells a story. And in the case of the 1983 Washington quarter, that story includes mystery, value, and surprise. This coin reminds us all to keep looking, keep learning, and never assume a coin is worthless just because it looks familiar. Sometimes, the biggest surprises come in the smallest packages. And now, for the moment you've been waiting for, The price. One extraordinary and rare 1983 Washington quarter, found in pristine condition with striking details and in error, was recently valued and sold for an astonishing amount of $85,000. Found in pristine condition with striking details and in error, was recently valued and sold for an astonishing amount of $85,000. Found in pristine condition with striking details and in error, was recently valued and sold for an astonishing amount of $85,000. Found in pristine condition with striking details and in error, was recently valued and sold for an astonishing amount of $85,000. Found in pristine condition with striking details and in error, was recently valued and sold for an astonishing amount of $85,000. Found in pristine condition with striking details and in error, was recently valued and sold for an astonishing amount of $85,000. Found in pristine condition with striking details and in error, was recently valued and sold for an astonishing amount of $85,000. Found in pristine condition with striking details and in error, was recently valued and sold for an astonishing amount of $85,000. Found in pristine condition with striking details and in error, was recently valued and sold for an astonishing amount of $85,000. Found in pristine condition with striking details and in error, was recently valued and sold for an astonishing amount of $85,000. Found in pristine condition with striking details and in error, was recently valued and sold for an astonishing amount of $85,000.